So hold the back of your chair, and we are going to walk backwards until our back is nice and straight. I'm going to do it this way. And we're going to bounce up and down 10 times. Ready? And if there you go. Both arms stretched out in front. 1, 2, breathe out. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now look up at the camera or to the side and wave. Send us a big smile. Thank you for waving. Now let's twist to the other side and wave to your room. Oh, thank you, room, for giving me the space. And we go back to the center and walk forward. Let's do a little wiggle to get everything in place. Let's come back to our chairs. We give extra points for smiling. Thank you. Now we're going to take care of our back a little bit, okay? So let's put our fists up in the air, and we're going to cross our arms like this. There you go, making an X. And we're going to take our elbows back, trying to touch your elbows in the back. Feel that tension. Oh, it's our back saying thank you. And we're going to do 4 of these, okay? 1, pull back. 2, 3, 4. Hold. And relax. And now for our chest, our palms up. And let's do the same thing. Ready? 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Stretch back and keep it there. Open your heart to everything that you're going to learn and listen to and share and relax. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful time.
Thanks, Miss M. We're going to spotlight Miss Marcela, who's going to lead us in a curiosity battle.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. We in the Pathways program have decided to, in a way, inspire our children by writing a vow that they can recite every day. So we gather them across the classroom, and we ask them to choral reading this with us. So I'm going to ask you to do the same. I'm going to ask you to please put your right hand on top of your heart and put your left hand and hold it up high and repeat after me. I vow to be insatiably curious.
I vow to be insatiably curious.
I vow to ask questions, get messy, take risks, and work with my peers to learn.
I vow to ask questions, get messy, take risks, and work with my peers to learn.
I am aware that by being curious, I can find beauty, mystery, and joy in anything I see in life.
I am aware that by being curious, I can find beauty, mystery, and joy in anything I see in life.
I promise, as I do this, to laugh, smile, and dream.
I promise, as I do this, to laugh, smile, and dream.
I will not forget to pour my heart into every discovery.
I will not forget to pour my heart into every discovery.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Marcela. We are about to introduce the Pathways team, which has become a Pathways program after a summer of innovation and design. The Curiosity Vow might remind you of, for any of you who have seen Doug Fisher's work lately, on having a commitment ceremony, on having a a focus on an honor code. And so we believe that in an asset-based program, we have to start with people, and we have to start with definition and empathizing and teach explicitly what our expectations are. And so we are looking forward to sharing our design with you, but with our focus today on honoring our own natural curiosity as the foundation to all authentic learning. So with that, we're going to introduce the team that makes up the Pathways program. The first thing we did in our design process was get to know one another as creative individuals. And so we were a team of 7 this summer and have a new 8th member. And we'd like to have everyone introduce themselves by saying what they are curious about today. You've met Miss M as we awakened our brains. And Miss M is one of the adventurers, along with Miss Marce. They share a first name and they share a creative personality as the adventurers. Hi, Miss Marce. Hi, Miss M. In addition to the 2 adventurers, we had 2 visionaries on our team. One is an instructional coach who's not here with us today, was a visionary, Miss Vivian Caldera. And the other is our primary principal, Miss Vernita. Miss Vernita, would you like to tell us what you're curious about today?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think you're in mute. You're muted.
Thank you. I'm curious about how to get our children to feel wonder and be curious about our precious earth.
Thanks, Ms. Vernita. In addition to the 2 visionaries and 2 adventurers, we have the innovator, our Pathways lead, Ms. Brianne Sheets. Brianne, what are you curious about today?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm particularly curious thinking about our students, why some kids really like to climb everything they can get their hands on and why others aren't so excited to do that and what that means long-term for them in their personalities and their leadership styles.
Thanks, Brianne. We had a maker, which was our former director general who had the idea of the box. And you'll hear more about what the Pathways box is. And he did a lot of the creating with the hands-on work. So that's another creative personality that you see up there. And our newest member of Pathways is lead teacher Karla Carcache, who is the artist. Karla, what are you curious about today?
Hi, my name is Karla Carcache, and I'm actually curious about life in space.
Awesome, light and space. Thank you, Miss Karla. I have a creative personality of the dreamer, and today I am curious about what are we willing to fight for? That's a phrase that I heard this morning from Will Richardson in the keynote speech, and we look forward to talking together about what we're leaving behind in this pandemic year and what we're going to take forward as we're reimagining learning and getting in touch with our own curiosity. I'd like to take you through a short rewind for what our design process was. And our purpose in the next few minutes is to recognize that curiosity is foundational to any transformation. After we go through a quick rewind of what our process was and how we have learned to honor natural curiosity, we're going to invite you to choose from 4 breakout rooms where we'll get an opportunity to dig more deeply into the particular topics that we'll hear about with transformational curiosity. So please be prepared to choose between those 4 breakout rooms, which will be led by one of these creative personalities that you've just met. Back in June, we came out of a year in which we were surprised by the shift from schools to learning. And our visionary primary principal, Ms. Vernita, brought us together with this provocation. How might we create meaningful learning experiences for 3- and 4-year-old children and families who are eager to join our school community? Because of course, our school doors were closed. How might we provide this for them? Well, it didn't take long for us to realize that while we were interested in this provocation, in fact, we were willing to commit time in the summer to think about and design with this provocation, it wasn't a provocation that honored our natural curiosity. So in day 1 of our process together, we decided that just wasn't going to be our provocation, that we had to honor our natural curiosity and what we were truly invested in building together. And so part of the conditions for invention that Vernita created was to say, let's make sure that we're invested and we own this project, all of us as a team. And as a foundation to the design process, as you can see here, this is an image from David Jake Designs. It's a version of the design process. Empathy is the start, but it becomes a cycle, and we have to be committed to understanding each other if we're going to create anything that is transformational. So we got rid of that provocation. And we said, well, how can we better get to know each other as professionals, as people, as innovators? And we went through this process in which we learned about each other's professional experience. We learned about each other's beliefs, our core values that we were going to take to create a more transformational learning experience. Yes, for 3 and 4-year-olds, also for us, also for our community. And we hope today also for you. This was the provocation that we landed on. After one day together, we left and we decided to sleep on it. This is what came out of the first day, in which we discarded our original provocation and said, what we are truly invested in is how might we, as a community was inclusive of our families, the parents, the students, the school itself, and our professional connections. How might we, as a community, honor natural curiosity as the driver of early learning? In order to do that, we knew that we must honor our own natural curiosity. And for that reason, today, we remind ourselves with that curiosity vow. We remind ourselves by recognizing what are we curious about each and every day so that we can create that transformative process again and again. In that way, we were ready to take a step to define. We had our provocation defined. Now we needed to define what was essential to us. What were those driving beliefs and those core values? And in doing that, we had to take time through the stages of empathy and definition in order to eventually accelerate our process. So yes, we took 2 full days and then into the third to design what we call our design drivers. These design drivers have not changed, but the ideas that have come out of them have been innumerable. You can see here that these are the 4 things that we hold true as our core beliefs that allow us to continue to explore our own natural curiosity. One of the breakout rooms will go more deeply into our design drivers. Once we felt that we had a common set of values, not that we couldn't continue to challenge those, but that we truly did understand one another's beliefs and core values about early learning, we were ready to prototype. And this is where we took a leap of faith. This is what I see as Will Richardson having discussed this morning, as being ready to leave behind the carcasses of our old world and say, what if? You may have heard that it's very common that children ask why and adults ask why not. We have to be the ones who are willing to come up with these ideas. We challenged ourselves to come up with 51 ideas. We weren't okay with just one. We weren't okay with 50 because that 51st idea often pushes the envelope to say, why not? Before this, we didn't have the phrase pathways. We had preschool. We had preschool that no longer had access to its classrooms, to its community, to the opportunity to invite students into our school campus. And so from this ideation came the development of many different ideas that eventually would become pathways. And so this is what those early designs looked like. We were taking pictures of the things that we were coming up with, recording interactions with students around what we found was very important around language development and early numeracy. Eventually, we built those into more formalized interactions that we could support in a sustainable way. We created a site. So we moved from this, which was card-based and materials that we were preparing for families, to a site that was interactive, to what we have now as our platform. This platform, it remains a coherent structure. The learning that is happening is continually based on the idea of ideation. There is no one answer. There are innumerable ways for us to create transformative learning experiences when we honor our design principles and the fact that our natural curiosity is going to be the most powerful driver of learning. And so with those early prototypes, we have created an early learning community, which we're excited to share with you today and find out more about what you are also curious about, to fuel our process and take us back in our design cycle to that early part of empathy. So again, a few more of our components with this podcast is another idea that makes up the Pathways program. So today we find ourselves in a very rich process of continual ideation and prototyping for what it means to engage early learning in our community. Today, we take a step back as we evaluate by listening and learning from the families in the program, by listening and learning to you as colleagues in other places to fuel our process for continual ideation. In order to do that, we invite you into breakout rooms. You'll have an opportunity to choose any one of those, and we look forward to developing a rich dialogue in the breakout room and to come back with a headline that describes what that discussion was about, what that dialogue was about. And so in that way, I would like to invite you to just take a moment to read the descriptions that you're seeing here. The link under 3 of those takes you to the slides. And so you'll have access to that through the Live Curious platform. And we would invite your ideas, your natural curiosity into our dialogue. So the topics are transformational curiosity. I'll be in that breakout room. We'll dig into the design drivers to think about what transformation feels like. With Vernita, the primary principle, we'll have the breakout room of being a curious leader, thinking about what are those conditions in which we can lead with a vision, yet allow and embrace invention. The curiosity mode, where we're thinking about how we're listening in and learning from testimonials in the community to better inform our consistent design process. And finally, in the 4th room with Brianne and Karla, we have curiosity within the team. We'll open up the breakout rooms. We'll be in those for 15 minutes, and we'll come back together to share what our takeaways from that dialogue are. I trust that in the chat we have any questions that might be coming up or surfacing for others. And we invite your dialogue within those breakout rooms. We'll have a 5-minute broadcast when we're counting down on time, and then we'll have a countdown for 2 minutes at the end of those. So you will see just a blurb pop up on your Zoom toolbar. And at this time, I'm going to stop sharing. So if you have a sense of where you're going, you'll see a Zoom pop up that's asking you to join a breakout room. When you click that, you're going to choose from 4 breakout rooms, okay? And if you should make a mistake or get sent back, we do have support in the main room in which you could then choose again or re-choose from those 4 options, okay? So I'm seeing some nodding. It looks like we are ready to jump into breakout rooms. All right, here we go. Welcome back. We have a couple of minutes to think about a headline to share out our experiences and our dialogue that we just had in our breakout rooms. One of our breakout rooms managed to come up with a headline. It looks like another one of our breakout rooms. Let's just take 30 seconds to be comfortable with the stillness, be comfortable with the quiet as we reflect on our natural curiosity and allow those breakout rooms to add a headline. So we'll give everyone just another 30 seconds or so. Right. Thanks so much for honoring the time and that stillness. That can be very helpful for thinking time and reflection that continues to fuel all of our design and innovation with empathy. So let's read these out loud. It's important to have that shared space to really honor our thinking. Marcela Pichardo, would you mind reading those out loud?
Sure. Don't just fix things, reimagine. Discovery is the fuel for curiosity. We are stronger together. And I saw some, Katy, that were on the...
Oh, great, the chat. Sure.
Ignite.
Do you want to read those?
Oh, how to fuel curiosity, and then it answers ignite curiosity.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Marcela.
Sure.
So let's think back as we are moving into an interactive part here that we're excited to share with you. Let's just look back at the design process itself and honor the fact that we're not supposed to evaluate our ideas or come up with solutions right now. So we have to honor the questions, okay? The questions are the part in which we are defining and empathizing, because we're not going to come up with amazing ideas unless we deeply care about something. And only when we can encounter a deep and complex problem do we come up with wild and amazing solutions, because it means a lot is at stake. It means that we care as a community. And that really is what we have seen in this past year. It's why we have had the opportunity through so many supports, through the Tri Association, through the Live Curious, through our regions, to be able to come together, because this community of educators has cared so deeply about being there for children that we have spent hours on end worried about this problem. How might we be able to honor natural curiosity as a driver for early learning, right? We're worried about Zoom. We're worried about what should we be doing with children to fuel this on Zoom. We're worried about how to help adolescents care about community and feel connected and not feel isolated. But there isn't one solution, and it's not a solution just for that problem. We have to figure out what is it that we want to dedicate our time and energy to, and how can we feel okay with coming up with 51 plus ideas and trying them out. Because you're not supposed to know the answer just because you have the question. We're supposed to have a question and then feel very comfortable messing with, discovering, and honoring each other's ideas to then collaborate and figure out what we want to commit to next. So in order to do that, we're going to honor our curiosity through something called a Quescussion. But before we do that, a Quescussion is when we come together to ask questions. Our purpose is not to determine answers. An answer is final. A prototype is something that we test out and we continue to tinker with. So we're not here for answers. We're here to honor our curiosity and what we want to do to drive that. One question that I hear a lot is everyone a leader? And this is a productive tension. But if everyone is a leader, we might be able to get to some of the things we see in these quotes. If we don't believe that, that's okay too. Everyone doesn't have to be a leader, but we might decide to challenge that. Well, then how might we create the conditions in which you can lead your own learning? How might we feel committed to student-centered learning? The purpose of this slide right here is to show that we can sit with a question, and we don't have to agree with a question, but we can ponder and think together about those, because it's the answers that we'll determine as we're testing each other's capacity that are going to create the conditions for invention and innovation. And so we're going to invite you into a space in which we are not supposed to have answers. And the questions that have a clear answer might not be demonstrating our natural curiosity. So just before we enter into this Quescussion, we're going to just take a look at an important video that helps us remember how ideas must be the fuel for innovation in any community. So let's take a look at this very brief, it's actually a commercial from General Electric.
Ideas are scary.
Can I just get a thumbs up if we're hearing that? I didn't share the computer audio. That's okay? Okay, thank you. So this is a commercial, and this does also come from some work that David Jakes has been doing on innovation. So let's just take a look at this, because we're about to enter into a space where we're going to be sharing our ideas with one another.
Ideas are scary. They come into this world ugly and messy. Ideas are frightening because they threaten what is known. They are the natural-born enemy of the way things are. Yes, ideas are scary and messy and fragile. But under the proper care, they become something beautiful. One day,
So that really is just a commercial from General Electric. But it's also a bit of a manifesto. And I think that we heard from Will Richardson this morning, and he said that hope is an action. I believe he was quoting someone, but he said hope is an action, and it's not enough that it's a feeling. It has to be manifest. Hope must be in our actions. And we won't know what we're hoping for unless we know what we truly care about and what we're curious about. And so we like to invite you into a space. And this will be the first time that we are doing this as a Pathways team on Zoom with this number. And this is called a Quescussion. Okay, and so we're going to ask for your patience and cooperation to try to make sure that we're able to use the amazing features of Zoom to make this possible. Okay. All right, and I'll try to scroll back into the right tab in just a moment. 1 second, sorry about that.
machines will be sprayed to be made.
Right. Right, so in this Quescussion, everything that we say is going to be in a question form. So what that will look like is if I say something like, is everyone a leader? The next person's not going to say, yeah, I think everyone can be a leader. Okay, so we're not having a conversation, nor are we having a discussion. We're having a Quescussion in which we listen to one another and we think and respond with questions. Okay? In order to help us have an opportunity to listen, a person may only speak every third time. Okay, so thinking about that, if Gina asks a question to the group and then Sonia asks a question to the group, Gina's not going to ask another question yet, okay, because she could speak every third time, meaning go Gina, Sonia, Claudia, Gina. Okay, so you're making sure to have heard at least 2 questions before you have another question. Doesn't mean you can't have lots of questions in your head. Those are great. Just give space for other people so that you can hear their questions too, okay? There are such things as fake questions. Also, doesn't mean that all questions aren't good. I do believe all questions are good questions, but you might say, everyone can be a leader, right? That's not really a question. That's stating what I believe, okay? So we're going to try to think about our words to say a question that we're naturally curious about. That's also going to help with that goal, that we're actually curious about that. Because if I say everyone's a leader, right? I've pretty much made up my mind. I'm not really terribly curious about that myself. Okay. We also have to be careful. The next one comes up in ways that are very tricky. So we can put people down by accident. And I actually do this a bit often because I really care about what I'm thinking about. So what that might look like is, you don't really think people can't be leaders, do you? Okay, so again, it's not something I'm really curious about. It's me having a judgment about what someone else was asking. So I don't think that we're going to run into these, but it's helpful to think about these, not so much to do what we're supposed to do in order to help us honor others' natural curiosity. And this kind of thing just takes time for us to learn together, okay? So one way to help each other is by looking at those bottom two where it says, if someone makes a statement, the rest of the group can just say statement. So feel free to have that microphone on and say statement, and then that will help us to be cognizant of it going forward. Of course, this can be done not on Zoom. We have actually done this on Zoom, but only with a very small group. And so the way we would like to ask for the group to do this is I am going to turn off the screen share. It's important that we can see each other, as much as possible. So I'm going to turn that off. And we're going to give just a couple of Zoom reminders. So if you want to just take one last look at that Quescussion itself of what we're about to be up to, I'm going to take that down, okay? All right. And so our goal is going to be to keep the Quescussion going for 5 minutes. So we just keep the timer going for 5 minutes, and that would demonstrate, sustained curiosity, sustained listening that fuels our own natural curiosity. Okay, so on Zoom, the way that we can do this most efficiently or effectively would be to use the reaction button to raise our hand. And so as you raise your hand, we will spotlight you. And so in the order that you're raising your hand, your photo will come up, and Zoom will invite you to unmute yourself. Okay, so then you would want to unmute yourself, state your question, and then as someone else is raising their hand, we'll spotlight them and have them unmute themselves. So it would just require that as you're thinking, you're clicking raise hand, and once you're spotlighted, then you unmute. Okay? So I'm going to set a timer. I won't bother to set one on the screen. Yeah. But I'll let you know in the chat box when we're down to 1 minute so that you have a sense of where we are. But you won't see a timer clicking through on the screen. Okay. Great. So we have a timer on for 5 minutes. And you might have a natural curiosity about many things. Today, we've talked mostly about transformation and curiosity as the fuel for transformational learning. So that's going to be a good jumping off point for us. Your own curiosities are invited. Okay? So we might not say something like, for example, I wonder if the vaccine will be here, next month. That's pretty tangential at this point. But within the topics of curiosity, transformation, transformative learning, most anything goes, okay? But we're not on totally opposite topics. All right. Anyone has another question? I don't see any hands up at this point, so I think we're ready to jump into the Quescussion itself. Okay, here we go. So we have, Gloria, go for it, please. Or do you have a question for the Quescussion?
Yes. Where does curiosity start?
Awesome. So I think we're going to start with that, and the timer is up, and let's go. Just raise your hand as you have an idea that you'd like to share.
I wonder if choice ignites curiosity.
Sonia, did you want to unmute?
I wonder how schools can bottle the natural curiosity that children bring to us.
Abraham?
And I wonder if internet stops curiosity, because looks like everything is there.
Claudia?
I wonder if curiosity grows or doesn't grow with age.
I wonder if we are killing curiosity in schools.
I wonder if internet could help ignite curiosity.
I wonder how the structure of the day for the kids in class affects their curiosity.
And we're halfway. What are you curious about? Gloria?
I wonder if curiosity starts with observation.
Marce?
I wonder if there's a connection between the heart and the brain that could promote curiosity.
I'm wondering, what is the best way to support students' natural curiosities in our room through teaching them or modeling for them asking questions?
I wonder if there is a difference in how reciprocal curiosity between students to teachers or vice versa, teachers to students could be.
I wonder how we can help our students be confident and turn on their cameras in Zoom.
Anya?
I wonder why we are not as concerned about curiosity for older kids and not just for 3- and 4-year-olds.
Doing great with the Quescussion. We have 36 seconds to think about education, transformation. Gloria, is that a hint?
I wonder if curiosity could be a passion.
Marce?
I wonder if curiosity can be contagious and if we could turn it into a school value.
Vernita? Gina?
I wonder if we could help parents foster that curiosity at home.
Karla?
I wonder if curiosity stops at certain age and if we can enrich it.
Abraham?
I wonder if curiosity could be like a lifestyle.
Thank you. Claudia, do you want to have the last word? We've gone more than 5 minutes.
I wonder if curiosity is only linked to a problem, like if it can only strike when there's a problem and you're curious about that problem, or does it also ignite when everything's just stable?
So that is what it feels like to have 5 minutes of questions as a Quescussion. It's one tool. I heard words like fashion, lifestyle, possibilities of responsibilities to protect and promote curiosity. Would anyone like to share one thing that they noticed about the process or the questions that were raised? Would anyone like to share and have a final word? Vernita, is your hand up? You're muted, Vernita.
Yeah, it was really fun in my group because we were talking about curiosity all the way through secondary school, and it really made me think about if we gave students this opportunity to redesign and reimagine learning the way that we did, what would happen?
It's been such a pleasure to share this space, these ideas with you. We look forward to reimagining and not letting this be because we're in a pandemic year and because we have a problem together. And we really look forward to this network that Live Curious has created and are so honored to be a part of it. Thank you so much for sharing time with us this morning, and enjoy your sessions today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Stay curious.